Okay, I'm going to start class by just officially welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung Yu, Sawadee Krap. Welcome to everyone that's joining us here at the temple and everyone who's joining us online as well. Welcome to all of you guys. Today is our group learning program, and each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students and helping them to understand the path to enlightenment, giving you guys the opportunity to learn the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha taught to train the mind to get to enlightenment. What enlightenment is where the mind is peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings and others are completely eliminated from the enlightened mind. You also experience focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. You'll notice your personal and professional relationships are at ease. They start to really blossom because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile in your relationships anymore. You can make a complete transformation to your mind by training the mind. You'll actually get to the point where you're not even in a bad mood anymore. You don't even experience a bad mood because the causes and conditions that are producing these things have been uprooted and eliminated from the mind through training of the mind. So one of the trainings that we use is meditation, but there's other things that you need to learn as well. So on Sundays, what I do is I go chapter by chapter in this book. Each Sunday I cover a different chapter, and you can attend here at the temple or you can attend online. We're about halfway through this program. It's a 7-month program to go all the way through this book, and you can actually join at any time. You don't have to just join at the beginning, but each Sunday I cover a chapter in this book, and you can actually get it for free by downloading it from our website. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for our printing cost, or you can order it on Amazon and get access to it that way too. And then on Wednesdays, what I do is I do meditation with students, and then I just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. So what I'm going to do is guide you guys in meditation first, and then afterwards I'll move into just opening up to questions from you guys. I will share a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha after our meditation, just so you understand a little bit of it, but then I'll just open up to any and all questions that you have, maybe things that you've seen, maybe things you've been exposed to, maybe something that you're thinking about. If you've been studying with me, maybe there's some things that you would like to ask questions about. And for those of you guys here at the temple, we have microphones to be able to ask questions so that the people online will be able to hear you. And the people online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, and we'll talk about all that after meditation. So the way that we start with our meditation is I start with chanting. If you guys would like to chant along, I have on the laminated sheets over there on the table, you can see the chants. So if you'd like to get a sheet that has the chants on there, you're welcome to, because you'll see the Pali chanting and you'll see the English translations as well. If you look at these chants, you're going to see a lot of admiration and respect and gratitude for the Buddha. And I'll just let you guys go ahead, and you guys are welcome. I have a bunch of people that are getting chanting sheets. For those of you guys online, if you guys would like to get this chanting sheet, you can go to our website. It's buddhadailywisdom.com. And from there, you just click on free books, and you'll see down towards the bottom that there's the chanting sheet, and you'll be able to see what I'm actually using for the chants. And you can even print that out and use it in your meditation area and help you to develop your understanding of the chanting. So chanting during the lifetime of the Buddha, it was used in order to commit the teachings to memory. So he taught everything orally, and then every 2 weeks, the Buddha came together with his students and they would recite his teachings word for word for word. This is how they committed the teachings to their memory, is through chanting them orally. So chanting, there isn't anything mystical or magical. It's not a prayer or worship or anything like this. If you read the English translations, you do see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of that, I suspect that his students actually created these chants. Probably during his life or after his death, they might have created these chants, because if you learn from a teacher that helped you move from the anger and the sadness and the frustration and all these other discontent feelings to this peaceful and joyful mental state, and this teacher didn't want anything from you, they didn't expect anything of you, they just helped you out of the kindness of their heart, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for this person too. A Buddha would have eliminated their ego. An enlightened being doesn't have arrogance and pride. So a Buddha wouldn't walk around teaching their students to chant these chants to him. So he would have most likely, or these chants most likely would have been created by his students either during his life or after his death. So we don't use chanting any longer to commit the teachings to memory because we have books and videos and podcasts and things like this, but we still use chanting as a way to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So if you would like to chant along, you're welcome to. And there's various courses and retreats where I actually teach students how to do the chanting. But for now, if you'd like to just chant along, you're welcome to chant along. And then if at any point you learn in one of the courses where I'm teaching how to chant, you can actually learn in the courses themselves. After the chanting, you'll hear me give you some guidance. I'm going to be guiding you while we're actually meditating. But then there's going to be a long period of time where it's just quiet. We're just all meditating together here at the temple. And those of you guys online that are joining us, we'll just all be meditating at the same time. And then we'll come out of the meditation with some more chanting. The same chants that we used to go into the meditation, we'll use those to come out of the meditation. If you need some help on body positioning, because sometimes people are learning for the first time, let me give you a little bit of guidance on body positioning in terms of when you're meditating. There's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. These are the 4 positions of meditation. Most people are learning in the seated position, but these other positions are needed at different times depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But since you guys are all sitting in the seated position, I will share with you guys some guidance on this. If you're on the floor, usually you have a cushion under your rear where your legs are lightly crossed. If your legs were really tight, this would impede the circulation and it would make it painful. So you just like your legs to be lightly crossed. Some people like to put their legs off the mat because this helps to get the hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So whatever is comfortable for you, you would like to just lightly cross your legs and decide what's comfortable for you. You can have your legs on the mat, off the mat. It's really up to you how you sit. There's not just one fixed way to sit. It's whatever is comfortable for you. The Buddha put his right hand over his left and he put his thumbs together and then he put this into his lap. And if this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But again, it's not about everybody doing it exactly the same way. There's other options here. Some people like to put their palms on their thighs or on their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people like to just rest their hands comfortably in their lap. So whatever's comfortable for you, just have your lower legs and your hands and arms nice and relaxed and comfortable. For those of you guys in chairs, or maybe you're at home on a sofa or a bench or in a wheelchair or something like this, just make yourself comfortable with your lower body and your hands and arms. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you could really sit however you like. I'm sitting in a chair and I've got my legs crossed in a chair. So you could do this however you like, whatever's comfortable for your lower body and hands and arms. The upper body you would like to be erect. By keeping your upper body erect, this keeps your mind attentive and alert during the meditation so that you can actively train the mind. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind would be overactive and uptight potentially. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle, where the sternum is up and the shoulders are back. This will keep the mind attentive and alert and allow you to breathe easily through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to start with some chanting to ease us into meditation, and then I'll come back in with some guidance afterwards. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. ระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาโหตังมหาเกวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone here at the temple and welcome everyone online. Sawadee Krap. Nice to see all of you guys here this morning. For those of you guys that it's your first time here at the temple, I'd like to just share a few things to help you be more comfortable here. Is that in the back of the room, the very last door on the right, there's a bathroom. You're welcome to help yourself and use the restroom at any time. If you go outside the classroom into the parking lot, you'll see some signs for the main temple bathrooms. So if you'd like to use those bathrooms, you can go out there and there's a large bathroom outside. There's even water and snacks here that is provided by our students that you're welcome to help yourself, make yourself comfortable with all the refreshments that they provide there. So again, welcome to everyone, whether you're joining us for the first time or you're joining regularly. This is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students. We start with meditation and then I move into some type of teaching to be able to help you guys learn the path to enlightenment. On Sundays, I go chapter by chapter in our book, which is titled Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. This helps you to build a foundation in the path to enlightenment over a 7-month period. And then there's this class on Wednesdays where I just do meditation with students and then I open up to any and all questions that you guys might have. So what I'm going to do here is just share with you just a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha so you can understand more about what they are. And then I'll just open up to any and all questions that you have, whether it's something you're seeing in Thailand, whether it's something that you've read in a book, whether it's something you heard me talk about, whether it's some kind of challenge or struggle that you're having in your day-to-day life and you'd like to talk about that and ask questions about it. For those of you guys here at the temple, we have microphones microphones in the white bowl here. You just press the gray button and the lights come on, and you hold it up to your chin, and then I'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. And for those of you guys online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. In the comment section, I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. So the teachings of the Buddha, it is to help heal you from what hurt you so that you never need to hurt again. By the time you train your mind in the teachings of the Buddha, you won't experience any painful feelings in your mind whatsoever. So all the anger and sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all of this and all the other displeasures in the mind is completely eliminated. And this is accomplished through training of the mind. The teachings of the Buddha aren't about a bunch of beliefs and then you hope something good happens when you die. He also didn't teach rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship. He didn't teach you to pray your way to a better life. He didn't teach rules and commandments, that if everybody follows these rules and commandments, then the world will become a peaceful place. He didn't teach you the way the world should be. Instead, he taught you the way the world is. And by understanding the way the world is, your mind is gradually awakening to this wisdom so that now you can navigate the world more peacefully. Because when you live in a world that you don't understand, you will have struggles and you will have difficulties. And part of that struggles and difficulties is the anger and the frustration, the sadness, the stress, the anxiety. This is your mind lacking wisdom about what's called the universal truths or the natural laws of existence. The natural laws of existence is what the Buddha taught and to help you awaken to this wisdom of understanding what and how the world functions. So the teachings of the Buddha aren't here to force you or convince you to do anything. As I mentioned, they're not rites or rituals or ceremonies or worship. It's not mystical or magical. It's to train your mind and awaken it to this peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy that is the enlightened mental state. Essentially, the Buddha discovered these 10 individual pollutions in the mind, that when you understand what these pollutions are and you apply the training to eradicate them and eliminate them from the mind, your mind will function more optimally. You'll notice that you have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships will blossom, that they'll be at ease because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile, argumentative in your relationships anymore. Because as long as you're putting that stuff out, that's all going to come back to you. And by the time you train your mind, you're not even in a bad mood anymore. But right now, that's really challenging because the mind has certain pollutions in the unenlightened state that's hindering it from being able to experience this enlightened mental state. So as you're learning and growing on the path to enlightenment, you're not believing any of his teachings. You're learning them, you're examining them, you're investigating them. Then you're reflecting on them to independently verify whether they're true or they're false. And then you're practicing his teachings. You're integrating them into your life and starting to practice the teachings that he shared. And then by you practicing the teachings, this is where your mind gets transformed. You're essentially retraining the mind to be peaceful and joyful. But you need the wisdom of how to do that. So you're accumulating wisdom along the path to enlightenment. And the way that you acquire wisdom is through learning, through reflecting to independently verify, and then you practice his teachings by integrating them into your life. And in this way, you cultivate wisdom about the natural laws of existence. Because when you're making wise decisions in your life, you're going to experience wholesome results. Or somebody might refer to this as wholesome karma, or you might have heard the word karma. The word karma is from the Sanskrit language, where the teachings of the Buddha, his original teachings are in the Pali language. So people who study his original teachings will tend to use the word karma. What karma is its cause and effect, or action and result. It's not punishments and rewards. It's not about who's at blame or who's at fault. It's not anything mystical or magical. It's about if you make a wise decision, it's going to produce a wholesome result, or wholesome karma. And if you make an unwise decision, it's going to produce unwholesome karma, or unwholesome results. And when you lack wisdom about these natural laws of existence, you will tend to make unwise decisions. And these unwise decisions will produce unwholesome results in your life. Some of that unwholesomeness is the anger and the sadness and the frustration in your mind. Some of that unwholesomeness is the broken relationships that you experience and all the other difficulties and struggles. Oftentimes when these things are happening in our life, In the unenlightened state with the lack of wisdom, you'll blame other people. You'll think that other people are causing you to be angry, or other people are causing you to be frustrated. So when these things are happening, you might be pushing people away out of your life, thinking that that's going to solve your problem. That when you feel those painful feelings, if you don't have the wisdom to understand that your own mind is causing these feelings, then you will tend to push people away out of your life, and you'll think that solves the problem. But it doesn't solve the problem, because you can see that your mind just gets agitated or annoyed or frustrated about something else. It's only a matter of time. Or you might be bitter and harsh and hostile towards someone, just like an animal. An animal will show its teeth, it'll growl and it'll roar and try to fear another animal into doing things its way. So in the human state with a lack of wisdom, the mind will be bitter and harsh and hostile to human beings, thinking that they are the cause of your struggles and your difficulties, when in reality it's your own mind. Or you might put your expectations on people. When you have a lack of wisdom to understand that your painful feelings are coming from within your own mind, you might put your expectations on people and try to control them to do things your way. In fact, people might be doing that to you. People might be trying to put their expectations on you and trying to control you to do things a certain way. Because the mind thinks, if I can just get things my way, everything will be perfect. But the challenge is that there's 8 billion people in the world. You can't get 8 billion people to do things your way. So if your solution to your anger is to push people away, that's not working. Or if it's being bitter and harsh and hostile to people, that's not working either, because you keep experiencing these feelings over and over. Or if it's putting your expectations on people, that's not going to work either, because there's 8 billion people. You can't get 8 billion people to do things your way. But you can train your own mind. You can train your mind to awaken to the wisdom of these natural laws. And you've been doing the same thing with other natural laws without probably even realizing it. There's a natural law of gravity that none of us understood when we were first born into the world. When we were first born, this natural law of gravity was affecting us, whether we were aware of it or not. And we struggled with this natural law of gravity because we didn't understand it, and we made unwise decisions. We fell down, we hit our head, we bumped our elbows, we maybe broke our knees and we started bleeding, or we broke our toys or things like this. And we really struggled with this natural law of gravity. But slowly but surely, we gained wisdom of this natural law of gravity. And then we started making wiser decisions. By the time we were 10 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old, we started tying our shoes a bit tighter. We started looking at the surface of the street. We weren't so excited and bouncing around all the time. So we didn't struggle with this natural law of gravity any longer. Now we're at the point where we can climb ladders, we can get on bicycles and motorbikes, we can get on airplanes and travel all over the world, because we fully awoke to the natural law of gravity. We have wisdom of this natural law. So we make wiser choices, and it's leading to wholesome results for us. But when we lacked wisdom, we made unwise choices that led to unwholesome results, or unwholesome karma. So the natural laws of existence that the Buddha taught, they're affecting you, whether you're aware of it or not. And those struggles and difficulties that you have in life, that's just your mind lacking wisdom. It's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you've necessarily done anything wrong. It's just that every human being that's ever been born lacks the wisdom of the natural laws of existence. And what a Buddha does is a Buddha figures out these natural laws on their own, without the help of any teachers or any guides. They figure out what it takes to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state. And once they do that, they then share their teachings with the rest of the world. The Buddha got to enlightenment at the age of 35, and then he shared his teachings for the next 45 years until he died at the age of 80. And over that 45-year period, he shared the teachings of what it took to be able to get to this enlightened mental state. And countless people got to enlightenment during his lifetime. And then he preserved his teachings in such a way that countless more people got to enlightenment after his death. And even today, you can learn and understand his teachings, and you can make your way to enlightenment. So that's what a Buddha does. He gets to enlightenment by himself without the help of any teachers or any guides. He dedicates the rest of his life to sharing his independently discovered teachings, and then countless people get to enlightenment. And then a Buddha is going to preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people can get to enlightenment. So you're not a Buddha. You're going to need teachers and guides to help you. A Buddha is very rare in the world. The last one that the world's currently aware of existed over 2,500 years ago. So you can get to enlightenment, but you wouldn't be a Buddha at that point. You'd be an enlightened being, and your mind will be peaceful and joyful. You'll never again experience any of those discontent feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and all those others, right? And this comes through training of the mind. One of the very first things that you need to understand in order to start getting on the path to enlightenment is if you're going to eliminate these discontent feelings, you need to understand what's causing them. So the Buddha's teachings in the Four Noble Truths helps you to understand what's causing these feelings. And I will typically teach this as the very first teaching in a brand new program or course or retreat. I will help students to understand the Four Noble Truths, because this is where you understand the problem in the mind, the cause of it, the elimination of it, and the path forward. And I'll just give you a summarized version of the Four Noble Truths today, but in other classes and courses and retreats, you can go into more detail where I slowly walk you through, helping you to independently verify it so you can see the truth for yourself. But the first noble truth that the Buddha talks about is the problem in the unenlightened mind is that it experiences discontentedness. It experiences all that anger and sadness and frustration and irritation and annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment. That's the problem. Essentially, the mind's going up and down and up and down and up and down. This is the problem that every unenlightened being is experiencing. The second noble truth is explaining the cause of this problem. The cause of this problem is what's called craving, desire, attachment, the longing, the yearning. The mind wants things to be permanent. The mind wants things to be permanently satisfying. So your mind longs and yearns. You think the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases and chases and chases and chases. And if you get what you want, you get pleasant feelings. You get happy, you get excited, you get elated, you get thrilled, you get euphoria. But those pleasant feelings are based on some condition. So those pleasant feelings arise, they change, and they fade away. So ultimately, these feelings are unsatisfactory because they're temporary. So for example, if you wake up in the morning and you see that it's sunny outside, you might get so happy. You might get so excited. Yay, I get to go outside and play today. This is going to be so fun. Yay. But then you go take a shower and you come out and it's raining. So now, because your mind's not getting what it wants, it gets angry, it gets frustrated, it gets agitated or annoyed because you based your happiness on a condition. The condition was that it's sunny outside, and that sun is impermanent. It is not permanent. So that means your happiness is not permanent. Right? Everything around you, everything that you can see, everything you hear, everything you smell, everything you taste on the tongue, everything that comes in contact with the body, everything that goes through the mind is all impermanent. So if you base your inner feelings on some condition, then when that condition changes, your feelings are going to change. Your mind's going to go up and down and up and down. So if you can train your mind to no longer form these conditioned feelings based on some condition, then you can be happy all the time. So for example, right now, if your bank account balance is right here, maybe you'll be happy, you'll be excited. But then when it drops down, you'll be sad, you'll be frustrated, right? If your mom or dad does this, you're happy. But if they do this, you're angry, you're sad, or you're frustrated. Or if your boss does this, you'll be excited and happy. But then if he does this or she does this, then you'll be angry and frustrated. So the mind in the unenlightened state is basing its feelings on some condition. So if this condition is met, and 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 this condition is met, then I will be happy. And the more of those wants, more of the expectations, the more longing, yearning you have, the fewer and fewer, the less and less amount of time that you can be happy, right? But when you get rid of all that and you train your mind to not do that, you can be happy all the time. So where an unenlightened being will get happy when it's sunny outside and sad when it's raining, an enlightened being, they're already happy. When they woke up, they're already happy. There's no condition that has to produce the happiness. So when they see it's sunny outside, okay, sweet. Let's go outside and go hiking. We can go have fun. We can go on the trail with our friends, right? Now you go take a shower and you come out and it's raining. Oh, it's raining. Okay, well, maybe I'll invite my friends over for dinner and maybe I'll make some food for them. Or maybe we'll go out to the mall and watch a movie. Or maybe I'll just stay home and read a book and just cancel my plans to go hiking, right? So an enlightened being can maintain their peacefulness. They can maintain their joy all day long because they don't base their inner feelings of happiness on some condition. Their mind has been trained not to do that. And part of what you're doing in order to do that is the meditation that we just did. But there's other things that you need to learn too. So there's this core central teaching of the Buddha called the Eightfold Path. That's the complete solution that the Buddha is teaching you, how to eliminate your craving, desire, attachment. Because when you're sad or feeling lonely or bored, the mind will think, oh, I know what I need. I need a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend. That's what'll solve everything. Let me get a new boyfriend or girlfriend. If I get a boyfriend or girlfriend, everything will be perfect in my life. So the mind will chase after that for a little while. And then you'll get a boyfriend or girlfriend and you'll feel so happy and excited for a little while. But then you guys will start arguing. You'll start being upset with each other. You'll start being angry because that happiness arises, it changes, and it fades away. And then you guys break up. Right? And now you're really sad or you're feeling lonely or bored again. And then the mind's like, oh, I know what I need. I need more money. That's what I need. If I can get more money, that'll fix everything. So let me chase after that money for a while. And now you get a new job, maybe you're making more money. And then you feel happy for a little while. But then all of a sudden you don't like that job anymore. It's not enough money. You need more money. So now you chase more money. And now you go from maybe $30,000 a year to $50,000 a year. And now you're happy temporarily. But then all of a sudden that's not enough money anymore. You don't like this job. You need more. You need more. You need more. The mind has this unquenchable thirst. It thinks that something external is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. So it just keeps chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing. I know what I need. I need to go to Thailand. That's what'll fix everything. Let's get on the airplane and go to Thailand. That'll fix everything. Let's go to Thailand, right? And then you come to Thailand, you have a great time and you have all this fun. But then you go back to your life and you're like, I don't like this anymore, right? I really don't want to maybe go back, right? So what the Buddha is teaching you how to do is train your mind where you can create the perfect ideal life for yourself, where your mind can be peaceful and joyful all the time. And you need the wisdom of how to do that. So what I do here in this class on Wednesday is I just open up to any and all questions that you guys would like to ask about. Because creating harmonious relationships, training your mind, moving your mind to this enlightened mental state is not something that you know. We're not born with that wisdom. You need to learn it from other people. And here in Thailand, they have the deep understanding of how to train the mind to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state. I don't know what your experience has been like here in Thailand, but oftentimes people say it's quite peaceful for them. They enjoy it here quite a bit. And this is why so many people come, right? And that's because there's so many people around you that are practicing these teachings. But you can practice these teachings in your home country too, because it's not about your peacefulness isn't going to come from the people around you. The peacefulness is going to come from training your own mind. So even in your home country, you can still learn and grow and develop. That's why I live stream. That's why I have videos and podcasts and books, and everything's available for you at no cost. You can even get personal guidance where you can sit down and talk with me either online through Zoom or in person, and you can learn these teachings little by little through our classes, courses, and retreats. There's never a time where you need to pay anything whatsoever. It's all available at no cost. So if you guys would like to ask questions about anything you're seeing here in Thailand with the temples, or anything you've read about Buddhism, anything you've been thinking about, anything that I just said, anything that you're struggling with in life, if you're having certain struggles with your parents or your siblings or your life partner, your children, you can ask me any and all questions that you like. And I will help you to understand how the teachings of the Buddha will help you and give you some guidance to be able to help you on the path. So again, here at the temple, if you could use the microphones there in the white bowl. And if you get a microphone, you can just take it back to your seat, and you can even keep it with you, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question. So all you got to do is press that gray button when the lights come on. Just wait a second or so and put it up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you. And then those of you guys online, just put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, and the comment section, I'll be able to see that. And then in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. So is there anybody here at the temple or anybody online that has a question that you'd like to ask? Leo has a question? Okay. If you guys could pass Leo a microphone.
Yeah, I would like to know, what do you think about the practice of gratitude? Gratitude, like I think in the West, I often hear that people, like in the evening, write down some things they are thankful for example, the coffee in the morning or the tea in the morning, some things like that. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so gratitude is an important quality of mind where you have appreciation and gratitude for the people around you. Because while you're here on this, your own independent journey, that's what each of us are doing, even though we have friends and family, you're on your own independent journey in life. You need to cultivate your wisdom yourself, and you need help from teachers and guides to be able to help you. But you're on your own independent journey. But nonetheless, you wouldn't be able to accomplish anything in life without other people, whether it's acquiring clothing or food or shelter or medical care, whether it's a job that you might need in order to make money to sustain your life, whether it's food or anything like this. You're going to need other people in your life, involved in your life. And that's why the Buddha teaches you how to have harmonious relationships. Because as long as you're bitter and harsh and hostile in your relationships, that's what's going to come back to you. So having gratitude for the people around you is very important, because you can have that appreciation and that respect towards others. And this will help cultivate harmonious relationships in your life.
Would you suggest some particular practice, like in the morning when you wake up, or in the evening, write down a few sentences or reflect on that? Would you say this? Yeah.
If somebody would like to do that, that's up to them. If that helps them to cultivate gratitude, surely, they are able to do that. That's a choice that they can make. But it's not something that I would teach someone to do, because not everybody's going to find that beneficial. But if somebody chooses to do that and they find it beneficial, wonderful.
And another question. In Germany, I really love to take a walk through the forest. Mm-hmm. Or through the nature. Also, what do you think about going in the nature, being in the nature? Is it healthy, or is it also, I think in my case, could be also attachment? Mm-hmm. It's the same with old buildings, like old cities in Germany. I really like go through the city and watch the old buildings. But all in all, would you say like being in the nature, taking a walk, being aware of the surroundings? What do you think about that?
Yeah, same thing. Some people really enjoy going out in nature, and that's part of what they do regularly. It can help you to appreciate the world around you. It can help you be more conscious and make wiser decisions about the environment. It can help you to understand other beings like animals and things like this. But whether someone chooses to do those things, is up to them. The Buddha isn't going to tell you what you should do or shouldn't do. It's not like this list of approved activities or anything like that. But if you enjoy being in nature, then go for it. A lot of people enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You said that the fourth type of meditation is walking meditation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So there's these 4 positions that the Buddha taught, because your body can't be in the same position all the time. Oftentimes people are learning in the seated position, and this is a common position to learn in. But then we have lying, standing, and walking too. And I'll just talk about all of them to make it fuller answer. Is the lying position is really helpful if you're in the seated position and you're noticing you have pain, aches and pains in the body, like in your back or your hip or something like this. You can just lie flat on the floor with your face up. If you ever done yoga, some people call this Shavasana pose or resting pose or corpse pose or something like this, where you just lay on your back, face up, and your hands out to the side. This relaxes all the muscles in the body. And what you do with the mind is exactly the same. You just focus on the breath, and anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go. And then when you're in seated and lying position, sometimes you have a tendency to fall asleep. If you're noticing you're getting sleepy, you could just get some sleep. That's one option. Or you could switch to a standing position or to a walking position. Standing position, you just stand up straight with your hands either in front, to the side, or the back. And you do the same thing with the mind. Focus on the breath, and anytime the mind moves off, you cut that off and bring the mind back to the breath. With the walking position, this is not only good if you're falling asleep, this is also good if you have an overactive mind. If you notice your mind is just always go, 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 and the last thing you're thinking about is sitting down and being still. And that might be really hard for you to sit down and be still. So what you do is you do a walking position. It's very intentional walking. I could show you, but the camera is kind of in a fixed place, but I could show you if you like, where it's like a very intentional walking where you put your foot flat and then you transfer the weight. And you put your foot flat and then you transfer your weight. And what you're doing is, instead of focusing on the breath, is you focus through your eyes about 1 meter or 3 feet in front of you. And you focus your mind on that fixed point as you're walking. And now whenever your mind wanders, you cut that off and let it go and bring the mind back to the breath. And by the way, the reason why you're cutting off and letting go in your meditation is not because you're interested in eliminating your thoughts. You can't eliminate your thoughts. As long as you're alive, you're going to have thoughts. You can still the mind. You can quiet it. But your goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. The goal is to gain control or discipline of your mind. Because when your mind's angry or you're frustrated, as I mentioned, it's your craving, it's your desire, it's your attachment. It's the mind longing, yearning. It's the mind wanting or chasing after something. You can't let it go. So if you see somebody do something, or you hear something, or any of these other contacts that you might have through your nose, tongue, body, or mind, as you hear things, your mind just can't let it go. If somebody says something bitter or harsh or hostile to you, you can't control what other people say, right? You can't control whether they say something polite or impolite, respectful or disrespectful. You can't control that. All you can do is control your own mind. But when you hear somebody say something that you don't agree with, you might become bitter or harsh or hostile or angry. And the mind needs to be trained to let go. That if you crave permanence, if you crave for everybody to be polite and respectful, you will be angry when somebody is impolite, when they're unkind, when they're unfriendly and disrespectful. That person who's being impolite, unkind, unfriendly, and disrespectful, they're not the ones who are causing your anger. It's the mind craving permanence. It's the mind itself craving and wanting things to be permanent. So when you're in that relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you get so happy and excited when you first come together, well, that's the conditioned pleasant feeling, the happiness and excitement based on the condition of having a boyfriend or girlfriend. But then when you guys break up, and you're angry or sad or you're feeling lonely or bored, this is the mind craving permanence. It's wanting this relationship to be permanent. So it's not the love that's causing you to be angry or sad or missing this person. It's the mind craving permanence. What love is you have a genuine interest in seeing others be well. So when grandma and grandpa die and you're sad or frustrated or grieving, again, it's not because you're a bad person. It's just the mind is craving permanence. It's wanting grandma and grandpa to be here permanently. And as long as the mind's getting what it wants, which is grandma or grandpa is alive, the mind will be happy. But when the mind doesn't get what it wants, then it experiences the anger, the sadness, or some other discontent feeling. And the mind can't experience permanence because you live in an impermanent world. Grandma and grandpa are impermanent. Because they were born, they had to die. Everybody, every single one of us have to die. But because of the lack of wisdom, the mind craves permanence. It wants things to be permanent, yet you live in an impermanent world. So by training your mind in meditation to let go, this is training your mind to be able to not crave permanence. So if you had a brand new car and you parked it at a store and you went inside and you came out and you saw a scratch on your car, if you get angry and frustrated in that situation, it's not the scratch that's causing that. It's not the person who caused the scratch. That's not what's causing you to be angry or frustrated. It's the mind craving this car to look permanently beautiful. And it's not possible for this car to be permanently beautiful because it is impermanent. It's going to arise, it's going to change, it's going to fade away. Everything around you is impermanent. So you can take what I'm sharing with you and you can independently verify it. Because what I'm sharing with you is your own mind is causing your anger. Your own mind is causing your loneliness and your boredom and your frustration and your agitation and your annoyance. And the way that you can independently verify this is look at a recent time when you've been angry, when you've been frustrated, when you've been agitated. At that time, you might have been blaming somebody else, or you might have thought it was good luck or bad luck or destiny or fate or something like this. But it's not any of that. What it is your mind was craving permanence. So look at that same situation where you got angry, you got sad or frustrated. There was something your mind wanted. You wanted something. And if you would have got it, you would have been happy. You would have been excited. But because you didn't get what you wanted, the mind was angry or sad or frustrated. And again, you might have pushed people away out of your life. You might have been bitter and harsh and hostile or argumentative to people, adamantly trying to convince them that they needed to do something that you wanted them to do. Or you might have tried to put your expectations on people, trying to control them to get them to do things your way. So these meditations, whether it's walking meditation or any of the other positions, in breathing mindfulness meditation, you're training your mind to let go, right? So if you come back to your hotel room and you're expecting that the housekeepers make your bed and they clean your room, and when you come back to your hotel room, they haven't done that, you'll be frustrated, you'll be agitated, you'll be annoyed. Right? And now the mind is craving permanence. Well, of course, the hotel aims to make your bed and clean your room each day, but there's going to be things that happen. There's going to be impermanence, right? Somebody's kid is going to get sick. Somebody's going to get in a car accident on the way to work. Something's going to happen where there's not enough staff. And you come back someday and maybe your hotel bed is not made, or maybe your bathroom hasn't been cleaned. And in that situation, you can maintain your calmness and your composure. And you can just go down to the front desk and say, excuse me, is there someone that's planning to, take care of my room? You can be polite and kind and friendly and respectful to this person. And then they will be polite, kind, friendly, respectful back to you, because that's what you're putting out. So that's what's going to come back to you. But if you go downstairs to the front desk and you're angry and you're bitter and you're hostile and you think that they are the ones who are causing you to be angry, and you're adamantly trying to convince them to come and clean your room, people aren't going to be as interested to help you. Right? So what the Buddha is teaching you through the meditation and through everything else is training your mind how to be calm and composed so you can create harmonious relationships. Because when you're bitter and harsh and hostile, you're not going to be able to create harmonious relationships. You're just going to have difficulties over and over and over again. And you can see in situations where you've been bitter and harsh and hostile, it's damaged your relationships. And again, it's not because you're a bad person. It's just because you lack wisdom of how to train your mind, how to uproot these pollutions, and then how to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state. So walking meditation is really helpful for someone who has an overactive mind, and the last thing they're thinking about is sitting down and being still, or you're falling asleep in meditation. So you can do walking meditation as a standalone, or you can do it first and then switch to seated, lying, or standing. Or maybe you sit down in seated position and you're 3 minutes into your meditation, you realize your mind's too overactive, and then you can switch to a walking position. So these positions are interchangeable. When you first start meditating, you don't need to stay in that pose the entire time. You can shift to these different positions. So if you start seated meditation and you notice your back is really hurting, all you got to do is lie down. If you know these 4 positions, you can use them, because your body getting into the same position, it's not permanent. You can't permanently be in the same position. For example, in 2019, I got in a motorbike accident. I couldn't sit. I couldn't cross my legs. It was impossible. And this is impermanence, that the body is impermanent. I was in a hospital bed hooked up to an IV, but I could still meditate because I knew lying position. I could still train my mind. Just because the body was injured doesn't mean I have to avoid the mind. I could still train the mind, right? It's just that the body was injured and it needed to be repaired. And just like the body can heal from what hurt it, the mind can do the same thing. Whatever's been hurting you in your life, you can heal from that. With the body, with proper food, with proper nutrition, with proper medical care, the body will heal itself. The mind, with the proper wisdom and the proper training, you can heal from what hurt you. But you need to know what is hurting you, and it's within your own mind. As long as you lack wisdom and you think that the people around you are causing your pain, you won't ever be able to solve your problem because you're looking in the wrong place. It's not your mom or your dad or your brothers and sisters or people like this that are causing your pain. It's within your own mind. But the mind lacks wisdom to understand this. So it doesn't mean that mom and dad and these other people are doing things perfectly, right? They're probably making some unwise decisions in certain situations, but their unwise decisions isn't what's causing you to be angry. It's your own mind craving permanence. So when you come to understand and you can independently verify that it's your own mind causing these difficulties, and you get the wisdom of how to train your mind, then you can actually fix it. But as long as we blame other people for what we're experiencing, you'll never fix your discontentedness. You'll just be angry the rest of your life. Any questions? Anything else you guys would like to talk about? Yes, ma'am. If you press the gray button, you just wait for the lights to come on and just wait a second or two and then start talking into the mic. Sometimes the batteries are out because they're impermanent. They won't be able to hear you online. We have plenty of mics. If you get another mic, just like everything's impermanent, even the batteries in the microphone are impermanent, right? The Buddha described this 2,500 years ago.
That's true. Hello, everyone. Also, thank you so much for some words. It's really impressive. And I have some question about blaming others or just find some meditation in your mind, get some wisdom. It's kind of like a case about my kid. And usually for them, sometimes blaming others is kind of like defense. Because in that case, you won't let you be in a very bad situation. Sometimes it's caused by others, so that when you blame others, it can make you better to think of yourself that maybe that's not all of my problem. Sometimes it's caused by people so that they can't control them very self. So that if they always find some problems about their mind, maybe you are not that wisdom, maybe not that wise. You don't have a lot of wisdom in your mind. You need to control them. So sometimes for them it's very hard time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe in that case, how to help them? Yeah.
This path to enlightenment is all about training your own mind. Mm-hmm. You will never get to peace by training other people because there's 8 billion people in the world. Mm-hmm. So the idea of blaming other people and making your mind feel better, this is part of the mind's delusion or misunderstanding or confusion. Mm-hmm. Some people refer to it as ignorance, or I refer to it as the unknowing of true reality. Mm-hmm. Because the mind lacks wisdom and it thinks the problem is external, it will keep trying to pressure other people to do things your way. But let's just say you can convince this one person to do things your way. Well, what happens when the next person does things that's not your way? If you understand impermanence, it's not possible for everyone to do things exactly the same way. It's not possible because we've all experienced different things in life and we all have different experiences. So we have different decisions that we make. But one of the things that the unenlightened mind has is it has what's called ego, which is arrogance or pride or measuring and comparing and putting yourself above people or putting yourself below people. And with the ego, the unenlightened mind will think, my way of doing things is the right way to do things. And if everybody does it my way, it's being done perfectly. But if people do it opposite of me, it's the wrong way. And now when they're doing it the wrong way, the mind craving for things to be done a certain way, craving permanence, it will get angry when people do things a different way. But if you understand impermanence, you understand that everybody's doing things differently, and that's okay. It's up to each person to decide what they would like to do. And that because there's more than one right answer in any one particular issue, one particular challenge, then it's okay that we disagree with each other. Disagreement oftentimes nowadays relates to disrespect. But disagreeing with somebody isn't disrespectful. You can, in a very polite, kind, friendly, respectful way, you can disagree with other people. But oftentimes when people disagree with us in the unenlightened state, we might fight until death to try to get that person to agree with us because the mind is craving permanence and it's wanting everybody to agree. But if you understand impermanence, then you know that there's only one person in the world that's going to agree with you 100% of the time. Do you know who that person is? Yourself, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
True.
So if you can only be happy if people do things your way, there's only one person in the world that's going to do things your way. There's only one person, right? So you can only be happy with yourself. And you probably even find that challenging. There's probably some times where you're not happy with yourself.
Yes,
right?
that's true.
That's true, right? Mm-hmm. So as long as you have craving, as long as you have desires, as long as you're wanting things to be a certain way, your mind can't be permanently happy. So what you do is you work towards things as a goal, objective, or interest, and blaming other people is never going to produce results for you in your own mind, because you're just blaming other people for decisions that you're making in the condition of your own mind. And you're looking in the wrong place. You're not actually going to be able to solve the problems and challenges that you face.
I have one more question, sorry. Like sometimes for me, that is kind of like the other question is about my friends or my kid. And one more question for myself is that about parenting. Usually I always want to do the best choice for everything, like travel, like marriage, like parenting. So this is why I don't have like, I'm not that brave to have a kid, because there are a lot of like problems in like society. Also, I don't think I prepared very well to have a kid. But sometimes my husband just want to follow the step of like most of the people. So we have some disagreement about parenting. So at this time, it's kind of like we can't solve the problem in the right way. Yeah, would you mind giving me some advice about that?
Sure. So the things that children need to learn is, in all people, all human beings, is what's called the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha, and I can show it to you online if you like. It's a core central path that's 8 individual factors, and it's teaching you about the natural laws of existence around you, and it's teaching you how to train your own mind. If you and your husband choose to learn this through all the free resources that I share, you can learn it and you can train your own mind, and then you guys can develop a really wonderful, harmonious relationship with each other. And then when you have a child, if you decide to have a child, you can then raise your child understanding this same wisdom. Because right now you don't have the wisdom, it sounds like, or you don't feel like you have the wisdom to raise a child. And that's just because you don't have wisdom for yourself about how to conduct your own life. So the teachings of the Buddha, it's not a religion of rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship. Even if you've been in Buddhist environments where people are doing those kinds of things and attributing it to Buddhism, that's not actually what the Buddha taught. But if you learn this wisdom of the Buddha about how to live your own life and how to train your own mind, then your husband and you will become more harmonious, and then you'll have the wisdom of teaching your child. But in some situations, a husband and wife, they might have different opinions, and one person might be interested in a kid and one person might not. And what people need to decide, if they're not going to agree to have a child, and they absolutely want to have a child, they're going to have to prioritize. What are they more interested in? Are they more interested in this relationship, or are they more interested in having a child? And if, say, your husband's interested in having a child and you're absolutely not, then you're probably going to have to end the relationship, and he's going to need to go find somebody else to have a child with in order to fulfill his craving, right? And that's what we need to do. Because like when I got married the first time, I've been married twice. The wife that I'm with now, we've been together 17 years and we'll be together for the rest of our life. But the first wife I chose, she was also Thai. My current wife is Thai. I had never been to Thailand before when I met my first wife. And when I met her and we got married in America and we came to Thailand, I was like, this place is great. This is where I'd like to live. I'd like to leave America and come here. And I didn't know that when I first met her. So as we were starting to talk, she was like, no, I'm absolutely not going to live in Thailand. I'm going to live in America the rest of my life. And then eventually that and other issues, we decided to end our relationship. But then since I knew that I was interested in living in Thailand the rest of my life, when I met this next woman on our second date, I asked her, where are you planning to live for the rest of your life? And I said, is it America? She said, absolutely not. She said, I'm going to live in Thailand. And I was like, perfect, we can go forward, right? So that's what we did. And now here we are, right? So we lived in America for a period of time. We built up our life. And then we decided, all right, we're done with America. Let's come to Thailand. And we both agreed on that. So you might not have known prior to marriage that you're not interested in having children. And he might not have known he was interested in having children. You don't know. But if you guys come together and you come to some agreement and you decide, either he decides not to have a child or you decide to have a child, great, you guys matching up. But ultimately, if you guys can't come to a conclusion where you both agree, you might need to end the relationship. And you can still love this person. You can still love them. If you guys can work it out and come to agreement, that would be ideal. But in some situations, like me and my ex-wife, we just weren't able to come to an agreement. So we needed to end our relationship. And that's okay, because we learn things about ourselves as we're growing and as we're developing, and we come to new information, and we need to update our decisions. Where if I would have held on to that wife, I would have felt miserable living in America all these years. I wouldn't have been interested in doing that because I was holding on to the relationship. But when I was willing to let it go, because I was more interested in living in Thailand than I was to be with this person, then I could create a better life for myself that I was interested in. So if you learn the Eightfold Path, you'll be able to learn how to navigate these types of things, and you'll be able to help you and your husband. And if you guys ever have a child, you can teach them as well.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Pleased to help you. I know a couple of you guys have mics. You guys can just speak whenever you're ready. Yes, ma'am.
So I just learned about the analytical meditation. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about it. Like, are there any helpful tips that you can help?
Sure. There's 2 main meditations that the Buddha taught. There's 4 total. Nowadays, there's countless meditations in the world, but the Buddha didn't teach all of these things. He only taught you 4 meditations, and 2 primary ones that everybody is going to need. The first one is Breathing Mindfulness Meditation, the one that I just taught you guys. This is the one that you would like to start and work on developing, where you focus on the breath, and anytime your mind moves off the breath, you cut that off, let it go, and bring your mind back to the breath. You would like to develop this for about 4 to 6 weeks. That's ideal, right? And then as you're developing that more and more, you would like to develop it up to about 2 or 3 sessions per day for 30 minutes or more. And that might sound like a lot to you, 2 or 3 sessions for 30 minutes or more. But wherever you start is where you start. If you start with 1 session for 5 minutes, okay, that's where you start. But gradually build up to 2 or 3 sessions for 30 minutes or more. And this might take you 6 months, a year, even 2 years to build up to that. So gradually build up to that. If you're looking at meditation and it's a matter of doing 1 session for 30 minutes or 2 for 15, you would like to do 2 for 15, because this is actually going to be more beneficial. The frequency of meditation is actually more important than the duration. So if you can build up to 2 or 3 sessions for 30 minutes or more gradually, this will have the most change and the most transformation in your own mind. Right now, it might sound like a lot of time, but that's because there's so many things that you're probably doing that are unbeneficial. If you're spending, hour upon hour upon hour on social media, if you shrunk that down a little bit, you probably have a lot more time to do beneficial things in your life, right? So there's certain things that you're doing in your life that are probably unbeneficial. And if you start clearing those things out, you'll have more time to do the wholesome and wise and beneficial things in your life. So breathing mindfulness meditation is going to help you to develop mindfulness or awareness of mind, and concentration, focus, clarity, so you can have focus and clarity and awareness of your mind. Then it's also helping you eliminate the unwholesome quality of craving, desire, attachment, where your mind can be trained to let go. So every meditation, it's a dedicated, active, purposeful training session to either eliminate certain unwholesome qualities or to arise certain wholesome qualities. And you're doing this in the seated, lying, standing, and walking positions. So the unwholesome qualities you're eliminating in breathing mindfulness meditation is craving, desire, attachment, where the mind's holding on. It doesn't want to let go. So if 10, 20, 30 times during your meditation you had to let go and come back to the breath, this is really good. It's training your mind to let go, because your mind doesn't want to let go. It's craving permanence. And then you're cultivating awareness of mind or mindfulness, and you're cultivating concentration, where you can have focus and concentration. The second meditation that you learn after you've developed the breathing mindfulness meditation for about 4 to 6 weeks is called loving kindness meditation. What this is doing is this is eliminating the unwholesome quality of anger, hatred, ill will, frustration, agitation, annoyance. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't even have the slightest dislike for other people. Right now, there's probably people you like, and there's probably certain people you dislike. And the only reason is because you have craving, desire, attachment. When you want people to be a certain way, when you have certain expectations of people, you will like certain people because they're meeting your expectations, and you will dislike other people because they're not meeting your expectations. But this is coming from your own mind. By the time you get to enlightenment, you can love everybody. You can just love people as they are. You're not going to agree with their decisions, but you can love the person, right? You can separate the decision someone makes from the person themselves. Right now, you might feel like you can only like somebody if you agree with their decisions. But as we were talking, you're never going to agree with everybody's decisions. So if you can only love people that you agree with, then you can only love yourself. And like I said, you might have a hard time doing that. So if you separate people's choices and decisions they make from the person themselves, then you might disagree with what mom and dad does in the choices that they make, but you can love them as a person. You can have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. You can have active goodwill towards them. You can disagree with your brothers and sisters. I disagree with what they do, but you can love them as a person. Same thing with your life partner, your children, or something like this. You can disagree with what people do because you're never going to agree with everybody's decision, but you can love the person. But you'll have a challenge to do that as long as you have anger, hatred, ill will, frustration, and all that in your own mind. So this loving kindness meditation is essentially rewiring your mind to be loving and kind so that now you can go out into the world and be loving and kind. Because as long as you're bitter and harsh and hostile and resentful in your relationships, that's what's going to come back to you. When you're angry and bitter and harsh and argumentative in your relationships, those people are going to be that same way with you. So if you don't like it when people are harsh and bitter with you, you're going to have to change your mind, right? I grew up a long time with a lot of resentment in my mind towards my mom, and I kept wanting her to change. I kept wanting mom to change so much. Just, man, I wanted mom to change so much. It never worked, right? I had to change. I was being bitter and harsh and hostile. And as long as I was being bitter, harsh, and hostile, mom was doing the same thing. So when I transformed my mind and I started being loving and kind, then mom started being loving and kind, right? So oftentimes we want other people to change. And as long as you're going around wanting other people to change, you're never going to experience change in your life because you're wanting other people to change. So what the teachings of the Buddha are doing is, yes, giving you meditation to be able to help you to transform your own mind, but then there's other wisdom that you need too. So the meditation is there to eradicate some of the pollutions in your mind. And the Buddha figured out these 10 individual pollutions that you need to eliminate from the mind. And then he gives you the tools and the techniques of how to eliminate them. And it's meditation, that's part of it, but there's other things that you need to know too in order to get rid of these pollutions so that your mind can perform optimally. So this is a little bit about meditation. Do you have any specific questions about meditation that you would like to ask?
I just been practicing a lot, so I think, with time going by, I'll be getting better, focusing on the breathing. But one more question about why breathing? Like, why is that one thing kind of like, you fixate your mind on?
Because the breath is the present moment. And what the unenlightened mind wants to do is it wants to be in the past or it wants to be in the future, right? It's not interested in being right here in the present moment, right? So when your mind drifts to the past or drifts to the future during your meditation or has these erroneous thoughts, when it's undisciplined and uncontrolled, you bring the mind back to the breath, which is the present moment. Like, that's right now. Right? So your mind, your breath is like a post. It's like a pillar. If you had 6 animals tied to a post or pillar, and these were wild animals and they were pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and the alligator was going to the river, the monkey was going to the jungle, the bird was going to the sky, they would keep pulling. But then because of this post and this pillar, this rope would pull them back and pull them back and pull them back and pull them back. So the same thing is true about your mind, because once these animals are pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, eventually they're going to figure out, I can't go anywhere. I'm just going to sit right here by this post and pillar and I'm going to be calm. Right? And that's what the animal will do. But initially, the animal is going to pull and pull and pull and pull and pull. But eventually, it's going to sit down and be still. The same thing with your mind. It's going to pull and pull and pull and pull and pull. So the breath is the post and the pillar. And now you're bringing your mind back to that present moment, to the breath. And as you keep pulling it back and pulling it back and pulling it back and pulling it back over a number of years, it will be calm and it'll just sit down and be still and it'll be peaceful and it'll be joyful. But it's going to pull and pull and pull. So the breath is like that post or that pillar that you're bringing your mind back to.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Yes, more questions? I'm not sure who's first, who's second. You guys go however you like. Yeah.
I go first.
Okay.
When I do the meditation, sometimes I will see or feel the lights and different colors, lights or some shapes. What is that?
So what this is that there's the mind, which is non-physical. It's not tangible. And then there's the brain. The brain is physical. It's a physical organ. But the mind is not the brain. These are two different things. So the brain is this physical organ that you can touch, you can see, but the mind, you can't touch it. You can't see it because it's non-tangible. It's not physical. But these two things are connected. So when you're training your mind and you're uprooting the pollution out of the mind, there's physical changes that are happening to the brain. And your sight is actually occurring in the brain. The eye itself is just bringing in light in order for the brain to process it and be able to see it. So even with your eyes closed, you can still see things. You can see colors or shapes or different things, different imagery. And this is when you're training your mind, there's physical changes that are happening to the brain. Scientists and doctors and researchers, they're starting to measure this because during the lifetime of the Buddha, they couldn't do that. But now we have MRIs, we have CAT scans, we have all this technology that we can look at the brain and we can see the effect that meditation is having on the brain. As you're training your mind, it affects the brain. And there's physical structures of the brain that are changing. You might even hear this sometimes in your skull while you're meditating. You might hear, you can hear the brain actually changing. So that's what you're experiencing is the physical structures of the brain are changing, which is a positive thing. And you might actually see colors or lights or shapes or things like this. It's completely normal. It's not permanent. As you get your mind more fully trained, you'll move past that. It's not a problem. It's just part of what happens as you're transforming your mind. There's an effect to the brain. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here's my question to follow her question. That is how to insist on doing meditation. I can keep doing workout things, but every time when I try to doing the meditation, it's hard for me. So I want you to help me to fix it. Thank you.
Sure. The reason why meditation is hard is because the mind is untrained. Once your mind is more and more trained, meditation is easy, so easy. It's just like taking a shower. When you were first growing up, brushing your teeth and taking a shower was really difficult, right? It's like, oh my gosh, mom, dad, do I really have to go take a shower? I want to play. Why do I have to take a shower? And brushing your teeth, it was so hard to move that toothbrush in and out because we weren't coordinated. We didn't understand how to do it because we were untrained. We didn't know how to do it. Soaping up, doing shampoo and all this stuff, we didn't know how to do it. But slowly but surely we trained, and now it's so easy for you to brush your teeth and take a shower because you've gotten used to it. So the meditation is the same way, that it's going to be challenging when you first start, and your mind's not going to want to do it. It's like, no, I want to play. I want to search Facebook or maybe Little Red Book, right? If you're from China, maybe you have Little Red Book, right? You might want to stay on there, right? And just looking and looking and looking and looking. The mind doesn't want this training. It wants to stay in the darkness. It has complacency. It has a lack of energy and motivation and encouragement because it's not in the middle, right? The mind's either chasing things really strongly and chasing after things, or it's over here feeling dull and lethargic, and it's not in the middle. It's either on one side or the other. Chase, or sit around and do nothing. The mind doesn't know how to be in the middle, where you gradually work towards certain goals and objectives or interests. So if you're noticing challenges in your meditation, you need to check with a teacher, make sure you're meditating properly, but then just stick with it because it's going to be challenging. It's sometimes like hitting a brick wall because the mind doesn't want to move out of the darkness. It doesn't want to move to this middle way. It wants to chase, or it wants to stay in this dull, lethargic condition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure that the mic can hear you. It's not working. Maybe the batteries aren't working. There's a microphone there. It just takes a second to come on. There you go. It's on now.
If we keep calm all the time, will we lose happiness or never feel exciting anymore?
The excitement that you're eliminating is what's called conditional excitement, right? Conditional excitement is, I can only be excited if these things happen. If these things aren't happening, I'm not excited. I'm sad or I'm frustrated. That's what the unenlightened mind's experiencing. With the enlightened mind, you can always be joyful. There doesn't have to be any condition met. So for example, in the unenlightened state, if the weather is this, if my mom and dad do this, if my boss does this, if my bank account is this, then I will be happy, right? And those things matching up isn't always ideal. It's not going to happen all the time. So you can only be excited or happy when those things are happening. But when those aren't happening, you're sad or frustrated or angry. So this is the problem that the Buddha discovered. But what he trained and what you're able to accomplish is where your mind's just always joyful. You'll thoroughly enjoy everything that you're doing. You're having fun. Like right now, maybe when you go to work, it's like, I have to go to work. Maybe you don't like that, right? But by the time you get to enlightenment, you will thoroughly enjoy the work that you're doing, whatever it is. Right now, you might not be in the job that you feel the greatest about. So maybe 8 hours, 10 hours a day, you feel really miserable. You feel really bored, or you feel like you don't really enjoy this activity that you're doing. But by the time you train your mind and you select a livelihood that you thoroughly enjoy, you'll just enjoy all aspects of your life. And that's part of the training. So you're eliminating what's called conditional excitement, where your mind can only be excited in a certain condition. And you're moving to this unconditioned joy, this unconditioned happiness, where the mind can just always be happy and always be joyful without any conditions being met. If it's sunny outside, you're already happy before it's sunny. If it's raining outside, you're still happy. If you eat a piece of chocolate cake, you can enjoy that. But then when you don't have your chocolate cake, you're still fine there too. If you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're happy. But when you're away from them, you're also happy too. But when you have attachment, when you have craving, you can only be happy when you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend. And when they're away, you feel miserable, you feel sad, you feel so lonely and bored because your mind's holding on. You're basing your inner feelings on this person. If I'm with them, I'm happy. And if I'm away from them, I'm sad. This is attachment. This is craving permanence, when in reality, they're not permanent. So you're getting rid of the conditional excitement, where you can enjoy spending time with your boyfriend and girlfriend, but you can enjoy when you're away from them too. But in the unenlightened state, you can't do that because you have attachment, you have craving. Does it make sense?
Yes, but I think it's very difficult for me.
The only reason why it's difficult is because you don't have the wisdom of how to do it. That's what the teachings of the Buddha are helping you to do. By slowly, gradually learning, you gradually learn how to train your mind. Right now, yeah, it sounds difficult because your mind has all these pollutions. You don't have the wisdom of how to train it. So it sounds very difficult. So it's not easy to train your mind to get to enlightenment, but it's not difficult either. But you need the wisdom and you need teachers and guidance to help you.
So during the meditation, we need to cut off all our thoughts, including bad emotions or good things also.
In the breathing mindfulness meditation, yes, you're cutting off everything and anything. Your goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Your goal is to gain control and discipline of your mind. You're cutting off anything and everything that comes up because you're training your mind to let go. And you're training your mind to have mindfulness and concentration. But in daily life, you're only cutting off the unwholesome thoughts, right? So you're training in meditation one way and you're practicing in day-to-day life another way, just like a professional athlete. If I was a pole vaulter, I would go into the gym, I would do weight training, cardiovascular training, agility training, but that looks very different than my sport of pole vaulting. So same thing as when you're taking your mind to the gym, when you're meditating, you're taking your mind to the gym, you're exercising the mind and you're training it in one particular way. You're training to cut off everything and anything just because you're training your mind to let go. But when you're enlightened, you're still going to have thoughts during your meditation. They're just going to be quietness and stillness between your thoughts. Right now, you might be having thought, or you might have a thought and then you follow it and you look at it and wow, you indulge in that thought. And 2 or 3 minutes down the road, you're like, oh yeah, I'm meditating. That's right. Let me bring my mind back to the breath. So those are the two things you experience in the unenlightened state during meditation is thought, bombardment of thought, or you indulge in your thoughts for a long period of time before you realize you got to bring your mind back because your mind's undisciplined, it's uncontrolled. In the enlightened mental state, by the time you're in the enlightened mental state, when you have a thought during meditation, you notice it right away and you cut it off and bring your mind back to your breath. So you're cutting off everything because you're training your mind to let go. But you're going to have thoughts. So you're cutting off your thoughts with the understanding that even when you're enlightened, you will have occasional thoughts. But you'll have these long gaps between your thoughts where the mind's still and where the mind's quieted. But then in daily life, you only cut off the unwholesome thoughts. Say you're interested in punching your boss in the face. You know that's unwise. It's going to lead to unwholesome results. Cut that off, right? Or you're thinking about stealing something, or you're thinking about lying. Cut that off. That's unwholesome. It's unwise. Or maybe you're judging somebody else. You're looking at someone else's clothes or their hair, and you're trying to judge them as being good or bad. Cut that off. So you learn about all the different unwholesome qualities that your mind's going to have, and you cut those off in daily life. But say you have the thought, hey, I'd like to take my mom to lunch today. I'd like to take her out to dinner, or I'd like to go out to the movies with my friends. No need to cut that off in daily life because you're not causing any harm to anybody. Harm is where you cause somebody physical harm, where you cause harm to their material possessions, or you cause harm to their reputation. If you're causing harm to others, this harm is going to come back to you. So anytime you see your mind thinking of anything unwholesome, where it's causing harm to others, it's causing harm to yourself, or it's causing harm to both, you cut that off and let it go in daily life. But in meditation, you're training to cut off everything because you're just trying to exercise the mind and teach it to let go, let go, let go, let go.
Thank you for your advice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
From what I learned here, I think meditation is to deal with those bad feelings. We have the happiest feeling, but you say it's impermanent, so we'll go down. That's a switch we can cut off to let it go down. We can continue a peaceful line of our emotion. But I'm wondering if because in our culture we consider it's more wise to repaying kindness with kindness and repaying resentment with honesty. But I think from what you suggest, we should love all the people, even they treat us not that kind, but it's different from our culture. So I'm wondering which one is more wise to do, because the world is not act like that way. It's not like we love people, so they'll love us back. It's not like that all the time. So maybe it's wiser to deal with those people differently. It's more wise, or it's like what you said, love them all. Which one do you suggest is better?
Sure. So one of the challenges that people experience is you grow up in a certain culture, and your culture is teaching you a certain way. And this culture may have certain things that are unwise. There's no culture that I've seen that is completely wise, whether it's American culture, Chinese culture, Paraguay culture, wherever you're from, Netherlands, Germany, Canada, there's some aspects of your culture that are teaching unwise things. And what the teachings of the Buddha are doing is it's cutting through that, and it's showing you the natural laws, and you can function through these natural laws and your mind can be at ease. So as long as you're being bitter and harsh or hostile or harmful to anybody, this harm is going to come back to you. But in terms of loving others, you need to understand impermanence, that not everyone's going to love you. Even the Buddha, even Jesus Christ, even Prophet Muhammad, these people, not everybody loves them. And if someone doesn't love you, this is impermanence, right? This is what's going on in their mind, that their mind has anger and hatred and ill will, and they're choosing not to love you. But if there's a craving in a person's mind that I want everybody to love me, you're going to be angry and discontent. You're going to be frustrated and annoyed because it's not possible for everybody to love you because of the universal truth of impermanence. So if you went around with the craving of I want everyone to love me, you will be sad and frustrated when people are angry and disrespectful to you. So it doesn't help you to be angry and disrespectful to other people. Sometimes when somebody does something that's unwise, you experience painful feelings, but you're experiencing painful feelings because of your own craving, desire, attachment, wanting things to be a certain way. And now you become angry, but you think that maybe somebody else is causing you to be angry. So now you hold on to your anger and your resentment, and you might think that you're getting back at the other person, because by you being angry and resentful, you might think that you're getting back at them. You're holding a grudge. But this is like holding a hot coal in your hand and trying to burn somebody else, because that anger, it's only hurting your own mind. It's not hurting the other person. They're off doing whatever they're going to do. Your resentment and your anger is within your own mind. So what the Buddha is teaching you to do is get rid of this anger and resentment, be loving and kind with all beings, and more people will be loving and kind with you. But if somebody's being bitter and harsh and hostile and aggressive with you, you can choose not to spend time with that person. But if you have painful feelings because of it, it's important to understand that this person isn't causing those painful feelings. And choosing not to be their friend anymore isn't going to fix your problem. You've got to eliminate your own cravings within your own mind. So if you push people away and you think that that's going to solve the problem, it doesn't actually solve the problem, because that person's not causing the anger in your mind. So if you can train your mind to be around people who are friendly and loving and kind and polite and respectful, but understanding that it's only an enlightened being that can be polite, kind, friendly, respectful 100% of the time. Because even you're disrespectful to other people sometimes, right? You're angry and bitter and harsh and hostile. So if you have this criteria that in order to be my friend, you have to be polite, kind, friendly, and respectful all the time, then you can only be friends with enlightened beings. That's it. And you can get to the point where you understand that everybody is a work in progress. Each individual person is working and growing and developing. Some people are choosing to come to the temple and learn with books, and they're working and they're progressing at a faster pace. Other people are in the world, they're struggling. They're having unfortunate circumstances. And when you see people struggling, it doesn't mean that just because somebody's bitter and harsh and hostile with you, that you continue to be their friend. This wouldn't necessarily be wise. But if you choose to move out of that relationship, just be sure if you have any painful feelings that you eliminate your cravings, because just leaving the relationship isn't going to solve the problem. But can you share with me, you said in your culture, they teach that when someone has resentment towards you, you should have honesty. Is that what you said?
Repaying kindness with kindness and repaying resentment with honesty.
With honesty. Oh, okay. If somebody else is resentful, you don't have to do anything, because you can't fix their resentment. It's up to each individual person to fix their own resentment. You can't fix that person's mind. Like if you resented me for sharing the teachings of the Buddha here today, I can't change your mind. Only you can change it. I don't have an expectation that every single person here will see that what I'm doing is wonderful. In my mind, I think sharing the teachings of the Buddha is the most wonderful thing I could ever do in my life. And that's why I do it. But not everyone's going to agree with that. There's going to be some people in the world that think I'm doing the most horrible thing ever, right? And that's their perspective. I can't change that person's mind, and I don't want to change it. I don't have a longing and a yearning. If that person is interested in talking to me and understanding what I do and why I do it, and they're interested in getting insight and wisdom to understand how to change their mind, I will help them. But if that person isn't interested in changing their mind, then they're not going to ask me questions and try to understand. So with me not wanting everybody to view me in a favorable way and realizing that that's impossible anyway, that not everybody's going to view me in a favorable way, then I can be peaceful and joyful. Because if somebody enjoys what I'm doing and they honor me and respect me for what I'm doing, wonderful. But if they hate me and they despise me for what I'm doing, that's fine too. My mind is unaffected either way. If someone hates me and despises me and is resentful for what I do, I'm unaffected by that. But also, if somebody honors and respects me for what I'm doing, my mind is unaffected by that too. I don't get pleasant feelings just because somebody honors and respects me. Therefore, when someone disrespects me, I don't get angry and frustrated, right? So you can maintain your calmness and composure in either situation. But if you allow your mind to get happy and excited when somebody's respectful to you, that means when someone's disrespectful, you'll be angry and you'll be sad and you'll be frustrated. So this is why you need to eliminate the conditional feelings where When your mind is basing its inner feelings on some condition, you need to cut that off and let it go. Because as long as you allow your mind to get the conditional pleasant feeling, the painful feeling is waiting for you. Because that condition that gets you the pleasant feeling, it's not permanent. And as soon as that condition changes, your mind's going to end up in the painful feeling. Make sense? Yeah. So you need to see the conditional pleasant feelings as just as much of the problem, because they're temporary. They arise, change, and fade away. And when you get rid of the conditional pleasant feelings, then you can get the permanent joy, the unconditioned happiness, where you're just always happy all the time. But as long as you allow your mind to have conditional happiness, you can only be happy when these conditions are met. But when you can get to unconditional happiness, you can be happy no matter what's happening, right? But right now, you're going to find that to be hard because your mind's just not trained. Any other questions you guys have? I see something online here. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Do you have a microphone?
I have one question. Is I always cannot sleep well, and I will feel sad and nervous and angry about this. But I think it is difficult to control of my mind, and so that I will cannot sleep well again. What do you think of this?
This is one of the symptoms of having the pollutions in the mind, is that when your mind has pollutions, which every unenlightened being has, you'll find it difficult to sleep for some people, because your mind will just be obsessive, just in bed with stress and anxiety and worry. And as long as you allow the pollutions to stay in the mind, you'll continue to experience that. But you can fix this through training your mind and eradicating these pollutions. Nowadays, some people will look to medication in order to help you sleep, but this actually doesn't solve the problem, because the problem is inside your mind. And when you uproot the causes and conditions that are producing the difficulty to sleep, then you'll be able to sleep well. If you think back to when we were children, as a child, you slept really easy. You could fall asleep at the blink of an eye because you didn't have all these cravings. You didn't have all this expectation. Your mind wasn't so polluted. As we age, the mind becomes more and more polluted. So if you think back to the childhood, you were very happy, you're very cheerful perhaps, you could be friends with everybody. When you went to the playground at 8 years old, you weren't judging other people and trying to figure out, like, should I be with them or should I not? Do I like their hairstyle or do I not? You know, these kinds of things. You just played with everybody and anybody, and it was so easy for you to sleep because you didn't have all this craving, desire, attachment. You didn't have the anger and the hatred and the bitterness that the mind sometimes acquires as we're aging. So this is what's causing your mind to be having a difficult time sleeping, is that your mind has more and more pollution as you age. But what the Buddha's teachings are there for you to do is help you clear all that out, because by the time you are getting to enlightenment, you can sleep easy all the time. There's no issue. It's just like when you were a child. You can fall asleep so easily. Okay, there's some more questions here. Do you have another question, ma'am? No? Okay. There's some more questions here online. I'll just see what we've got here. Frank is asking, can you please talk about how much we should control our breath to slow it down versus being unattached and let it be however it is, even if it's short and shallow? Okay, Frank, so you can train the body to breathe slowly and gradually without being attached to it. Just because you're trying to train the body to breathe slowly doesn't mean that you're attached to it. What you would like to do is gradually train the body. And you can do this in sessions outside of meditation, where you just sit with your eyes open and just gradually breathe in and gradually breathe out. How long or short your breath is, it doesn't really matter. But the pace of your breath is really important, that you just gradually breathe in and you gradually breathe out. Because if you have a really rapid breath and your mind is fixated to the breath, your mind will be overactive. But if you slow the breath down and you have a nice gradual pace and your mind is fixated to the breath, then your mind will slow down as well. And that's what you need, is a nice slow mind. Because if your mind's really rapid and moving around really fast, you'll find it difficult to make wise decisions because your mind's go, 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 go all the time. So slowing the mind down is really helpful. Frank has another question here. He says, sometimes when I'm focusing on the breath, I begin to tune out from reality and lose focus from the present surroundings. Is this what should be happening during the meditation? That is what tends to happen, is that you're so focused on the breath that you don't even pay attention to what's going on around you. And the Buddha actually experienced this during his life too, that he was one time meditating in the forest, and the forest was flooding and the water was coming up higher and higher and higher, and he wasn't even aware that this was occurring. So you can be really deep in meditation and not even pay attention to what's going on around you. If you hear a baby crying, or you hear a fire truck or an ambulance, just keep your mind focused on the breath, and this is normal. And that's what you would like to do, is be unaffected by all this impermanence around you. We have a question from Helena on Zoom. She says, why is meat so readily available and widely consumed in Thailand if the society is built on the teachings of the Buddha? This is because of the misunderstandings that exist in the world, all throughout the world. There's a certain level of understanding of the teachings of the Buddha. In my opinion, Thailand is practicing the teachings closest than any other Buddhist country in the world, but there's still some misunderstandings here. One of the biggest misunderstandings that you see in Thailand is about meat consumption. They think that whoever kills the animal is actually experiencing the unwholesome results, because it takes a certain amount of anger and ill will and hatred to kill in certain situations. But it's actually not true. It's just like if you stole a car, or if somebody stole the car and you were driving the car, it doesn't mean that because somebody else stole it, you're driving it, you're going to get in trouble because you're driving the car. The same thing is true that if somebody kills an animal, yeah, they're experiencing unwholesome karma. But when you eat that flesh, you're eating the drugs and the hormones and the toxins and the bacteria and the viruses that are in that meat. You're ingesting that. And that's why it's going to cause health issues for you. And you can see this in Thailand, that because they eat so much meat, they actually have a lot of stomach cancer here. If you look at the research, they have a high amount and high frequency of stomach cancer. And this is the results of their decisions. This is the unwholesome results, the unwholesome karma based on their unwise decisions. So eating meat, while we've done that for many, many years and countless generations, more and more people are moving to plant-based food supply because they understand that it's not causing as much harm in the world and it's healthier for your body. And if somebody chooses to do that, you'll notice that your mind and your body will become more healthy. So here in Thailand, this is one big area of misunderstanding, but more and more people are understanding it, and you see pockets of people that are eating plant-based food supply. This is why you start seeing so many restaurants now opening up that are plant-based restaurants, because more and more people are eating plant-based food. Okay. See if we have any other questions. Anything else here you guys would like to ask?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate what you have presented here. There's a line which I would like you to share your comment, or what do you think the line goes. They should develop a mind which does not abide in anything.
That's not what?
Does not abide in anything.
Bind.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is some of the language that the Buddha sometimes uses, because binding your mind is like your mind is tied up. It's like, I can only be happy if I'm with my boyfriend or girlfriend. I can only be happy in that situation. The mind's bound up, right? But when you can be happy regardless of whether you're with your boyfriend or you're without your boyfriend or girlfriend, your mind is liberated. It's free. Right? So when you get rid of your longing, yearning, your craving, your desire, attachment, your mind can become free. Because if I'm with my boyfriend or girlfriend, I'm happy, but if I'm away from them, I can be happy too. Sometimes we think that it's love that's causing you to feel miserable when your boyfriend or girlfriend's away, but it's not the love. Love is a genuine interest in seeing this person be well. What's causing the mind to be feeling like I'm missing this person, or lonely or bored or miserable, is that the mind's bound up. It's attached. And as long as you have attachments, not just to boyfriend or girlfriend, but to your money or to your mom or dad or to your jewelry or clothing, your mind isn't free. It's not liberated. So if you have a certain piece of jewelry that you always wear, when you have that jewelry with you, you'll be happy. But say you misplace it, or say it gets stolen or it's lost, you'll be sad, you'll be frustrated, you'll be angry because your mind's craving for that jewelry to be a certain way. It's not because you love the jewelry, it's because the mind's attached to it. It's craving for this jewelry to be permanent. So when you have craving, desire, attachment in your mind, the mind is bound up. But when you eliminate these cravings, desires, attachments, the mind is liberated and free. And that's what the Buddha is guiding you to be able to accomplish. And you just need the wisdom of how to do that. And that's why I share all the books and videos and classes and courses and personal guidance at no cost so you guys can learn how to do this.
Okay, thank you. And also, I see the controversial notion where people differ a lot. For instance, as you shared before, everyone is in their independent journey. And also, Avanta says, a quote, a line from Avanta, love, it means I see you. So, I don't know, because you said love is you really wish somebody to be okay, to be fine, to be whatsoever, independent. Yeah, so there is a kind of controversial idea that you want somebody to be, you expect somebody to be well, and he or she is going through his or her hardship. So that doesn't make sense to me, you know.
Yeah, in this situation, you're not understanding what love is yet. What you're thinking about is craving, desire, attachment, masquerading as love. That the mind wants something and expects something. That's not actual love. So someone might meet somebody who you're physically attracted to, or you see that they're financially stable or they're intelligent. And now you meet this person, you're attracted to them. Along the way, you get to know them. They start doing all the things you want them to do. And now you might say to them, I love you, right? You might whisper it in their ear.
I don't think so.
Right? You might say, I've fallen in love with you, right? Because this person is now doing what you expect or what you want. But then as you go further in the relationship, this person isn't doing what you want anymore. And now you say, I don't love you anymore. Right? I've fallen out of love with you. So this is the person was meeting someone's expectations at the beginning. So now they might say, I love you. But then when they stop meeting your expectations, an individual say, I don't love you anymore. This isn't actually love. This is craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. So what true love is where you love somebody as they are. You don't want anything from them. You don't expect anything from them. You have unconditional love for them. You just love them as they are and realize that they're going to do things differently. And then in terms of love being this genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, there's nothing in there that is an expectation. There's nothing in there that is a wanting them to be well. It's a genuine interest in seeing them be well. But then you realize that their wellness is based on their decisions. An individual being well is not based on your decisions. So mom or dad being peaceful and joyful and happy, it's not based on your decisions. Mom and dad might not see it that way because of their lack of wisdom. They might think the way that they're going to get happy is to force you to do things their way. And if they put their expectations on you and they can get you to do things their way, they think that they're going to be happy. But their happiness is only going to be temporary in that situation because they're basing their happiness on you. And based on you, you can't do things their way all the time. So their happiness is going to arise, it's going to change and fade away. And as long as someone's putting expectations on you, this isn't true love. They might have true love in there, but it's being polluted with their expectations and their wants. So when you get your expectations and your wants out of the way, then your true love can shine through, where you have a genuine interest in seeing this being be well. But you understand that that person's wellness is based on their decisions. It's not based on your decisions. So getting rid of that want or expectation that people will be well will get you closer to true love. Make sense?
Interesting.
Yeah. So you need to learn more about true love. This Sunday is the topic, actually, chapter 15 in this book. It's all about true love. And I'm going to be teaching about love without attachment. where when you have a craving, desire, attachment in your mind and you want mom to be a certain way, or you want brother or sister, or you want your boyfriend or girlfriend to be a certain way, you can't love them because you have expectations in the way and you're wanting them to be a certain way. And you can only maybe say that you love them if they meet your expectations. But you can clear all that out of the way and you can get to the point where you love people unconditionally. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? You have a question, ma'am?
Yes, I have a short question. I have a kid. It's 7 years old. He's competitive and also sensitive. He always have a big reaction no matter he won a game, won't do the game. Yeah, with always excitement or just a very displeased and for a long time. So I don't know if for young like children at his age, I can teach him a little bit about the Buddhist theory. If I don't know if it's will make him too calmness. If he totally no competition is also, I don't think it's a good thing. So I want you to help me some suggestion.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I started teaching my son at the age of 6. We were actually doing things with him much earlier, but at the age of 6 is when I was formally starting to teach him. And I actually teach a class that's all about how to guide children to learn and practice the teachings of the Buddha. And it's been recorded, so you can watch it on YouTube. It's called Sharing the Path to Enlightenment with Children. So you can go to our YouTube channel and you can learn it there. Or I teach that same course every 3 months. And you can learn about how to guide children on the path, because a child's mind, as I mentioned, is not so polluted. And if they learn the teachings very early, they can have a wonderful life. So like my son very rarely gets discontent because he learned the teachings throughout his early time in his life. And he's like very peaceful, very joyful boy. But it took a lot of training, and it took his dad and his mom knowing the teachings of the Buddha. So if you learn the teachings of the Buddha, then you'll be able to help your child. But if you don't learn them, you won't be able to help them. So once you learn the teachings yourself, then you can learn how to share them with others. So if you would like to learn, I have books and classes and courses and all these things to help you be able to learn. And if you'd like to see specifically about how to teach your child, you can learn that one particular class on our YouTube channel.
Okay. I think I will find it, explore it in YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have one more question here.
Sure.
Here. Okay. So I am a career coach. When people come to me, usually they said they don't like their job. And we plan together, like, what's your career goal and what you want to do the next. And most of them, they want to have a change. They want to make a change proactively. But what we are talking today is like nothing is permanent, and we try to be satisfied with what we have, and we feel gravity. So I'm a little bit confused that how to think about like being in the present and love the present and satisfied with the current situation, and pursuing like future and making the change. So I don't know what you think about these two topic.
Sure.
Future and present.
Sure. So each individual human being, we're on our own independent journey in life. We're going to need help from teachers and coaches and people like this. And there's no harm in making wise decisions to gradually improve your life, because that's what we all need to be able to do. But it's when you're craving and you're desiring and you're chasing after something that you can only be happy when you get what you want. And now you're forming your feelings based on that. That's where the problem comes in. That if someone's like, oh, I really want a Mercedes Benz, and let me chase and chase and chase and chase. I can only be happy if I get my Mercedes Benz. And now if they get it, they're happy. But now if they get in a car accident, they're sad and frustrated and agitated. Or say they become poor and they don't have money, and now they have to get rid of their Mercedes Benz. They feel like less of a person, right? So there's no problem in gradually working towards the goal of having a Mercedes Benz, if that's what somebody would like to have. But it's when you form your feelings based on this thing, that this thing is only conditional, so you can only be happy if you get it, and if you don't have it, you're sad. So a life coach can help people to gradually improve their life and create change in their life, but an individual needs to have the wisdom of how to create that change, because oftentimes the mind doesn't like change, right? You can see there was a lot of people here when we first started and you start talking about taking responsibility for your feelings. You start talking about doing work to cultivate wisdom, and people are like, I don't know about this, maybe they're just hungry. Maybe they would like to go eat, or maybe they're they're not able to sit on the floor. Who knows why someone might have chosen to leave? But oftentimes when you start teaching people about making improvements and changes in their life, sometimes people aren't interested, right? Because their mind is craving permanence and they're not interested in doing that work. So when you're working with your clients to implement change, be understanding that their mind's not going to want to change because their mind's craving permanence. And as long as they're making changes wisely and gradually and slowly, this is more sustainable change. Whereas if you're sitting over here and you're doing nothing about your life and you're not doing anything to improve, you can't be peaceful there. But also if you're over here and you're chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing, and you can only be happy if you get what you want, you can't be happy there either. It's only temporary. It's only when you come to the middle and you gradually work towards goals gradually that you can actually experience permanent happiness. But there's more training that an individual would need to know in order to fully get to the peace and joy of the enlightened mental state. But part of that is to gradually work towards goals, objectives, or interest, rather than being dull and lethargic and complacent and lazy versus chasing after things. These are the two opposite sides of the spectrum. But the Buddha is teaching you to come to the middle, and that's where you can experience the peace and the joy.
Yeah, it feels like if we are in the middle, we still gradually pursuing something good or improving our life, but we are not controlling the result. Whether the result is good or not, we stay happy, right? Right.
Not forming your feelings based on that thing. But the thing is that the mind in the unenlightened state doesn't know how to do that because it lacks training. So you might understand me intellectually right now, but you'll go outside and get angry about something. You'll get annoyed or frustrated because you can't just snap your fingers and stop being angry, right? You need to gradually train your mind to build the qualities and the wisdom to be able to know how to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, teacher.
Hello. I have one question. Sorry.
Yeah.
So how do you feel what happened in the world, some horrible things? Are you still peace?
Yeah, because I don't form my feelings based on the world. If the world is at war, which there's quite a few wars right now, I don't feel angry, I don't feel sad, I don't feel frustrated. And it's not because I don't care about the world. I care about the world, but I'm not attached to it. I don't want the world to be a certain way. I'm interested in seeing the world be peaceful, and that's why I share the teachings that I share. But I understand that those decisions for the world to be at war, those are decisions that other people are making, and I can't influence that. I can't change that. There's going to be some people in the world who are peaceful and joyful, and there's going to be some people who are angry and bitter and harsh and hostile, and they fight. But if I base my feelings on what the world's doing, then I can only be happy if the world is doing what I want it to do. So you can maintain your care, you can maintain your love and your concern for the world without basing your feelings on what's going on in the world, because the world's going to be doing this. It's going to be shaken up because there's so many different people in the world making unwise decisions. And if you can only be happy when the world is peaceful, then you're going to be waiting a long time. Right? So you learn not to form your feelings based on what the world's experiencing. If you would like to use this microphone, I think it'll work better for you. Yeah, that one. If you can turn that one off. Can you turn that one off? Yeah.
Thank you for your teaching. I am a teacher and I've been teaching for 5 years. And I know that teaching is not the passion of my life. And my question is how to find the true purpose of my life, how to reveal the true self. I feel that I was trapped in my job, I was trapped in my life, and I was trapped in the role that I was playing. And my question is how to find the true purpose of my life. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the only reason why someone might feel trapped is because of their cravings and their clinging, and you're holding on to something. It might be you're holding on to the relationships, maybe you're holding on to the money, maybe you're holding on to the job title or the location. The mind's holding on to something in this job and it doesn't want to let go. But when you can understand that you're not in a job that you feel enthused about and you feel motivated about, and it sounds like you're going to need to move on. But as long as your mind's holding on, you won't be able to let go. So what you do in order to find out what it is that you would like to do in the world is you got to get rid of these pollutions that I'm talking about. You don't have a true purpose. This is what the ego will do. It'll think like, I have a purpose in this world. I need to fulfill my purpose. Well, nobody's giving you a purpose. What you need to do is you need to find your interest. What do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? For me, I enjoy helping people. So I come here and I help people every single day, and I help people at home, online, and all the different ways that I teach people. And in my previous careers, because this wasn't the first thing that I did, but this is the thing that I'll do for the rest of my life. In my previous careers, I was helping people, but I still had craving in those jobs. I was craving for money, or I was craving for something else. And now, because of that craving, I wasn't able to feel fulfilled and motivated and enthused in all situations. So when I got the craving out of the way, then the true thing that I was interested in, which was helping people, could shine through. So right now, your mind's still holding on to certain things about that job, so you can't see what is the true thing that this being would like to do. What is that true thing that you're interested in doing for the rest of your life and you feel enthused and motivated about? But when you train your mind to let go of wanting money or wanting this or wanting that, I don't know what it is because I don't know you, but there's certain things in your mind that it's holding on to. And when you get rid of those things, then you can come into more of an understanding of what is it that you'll be motivated and enthused to be able to actually do. And right now you can't see that because there's all this pollution in the way. So when you have pollution in your mind, it's like looking out at the world through a dirty window, and everything looks dirty. But what you're doing on this path to enlightenment is you're cleaning off your window. So now you can look out at the world and it can look fresh and bright. So I couldn't tell you how, what is your purpose or what is it that's going to ultimately make you feel good and enthused about the work that you do. But I can teach you how to eliminate your pollutions out of your mind. And then you will figure out what it is that you would like to be doing in this world. And then you can be enthused and motivated and have ambition to do that particular thing. And that's part of what the Buddha teaches you. One of the teachings that he shares is called right livelihood. And it's helping you to understand how to get to a livelihood to sustain your life where you feel enthused and motivated and encouraged in that livelihood. So there's a core central path that's called the Eightfold Path that you would need to learn and grow and develop. And as you do, this is what's going to help eliminate the pollutions. And then more and more, you'll come into the understanding of what it is you would like to be doing in this world to feel enthused and motivated about.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
My question was about what you were talking with her, because there is a difference between being motivated and craving. Like I have ambitions, as you said, but when I do things, in the process of doing them, many times I got this contamination with craving, so I don't enjoy. And so I feel conditioned to do the right thing. So that's what I went to Thailand to learn meditation, to enjoy the process without worry about the results. Be more calm. So I have like a desires, like everybody, to do things, to progress, but it would be nice to eliminate that expectations, that craving. So yeah.
Yeah, so let me just show this. There's a visual aid that I can show you that is going to help you to see what I'm talking about with this core central teaching of the Buddha. Here it is. Excuse me. I'll just switch over to so the online people can see it as well. Here we go. Okay, so let me even back up further so you can see kind of a more proper. Okay, so this is called the Eightfold Path, right? This is the core central teaching of the Buddha, and you need to be able to learn each individual factor. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And this is the complete perfect plan of how to train your mind to let go and eliminate craving, desire, attachment. So meditation is part of that, but it's only one part of it. You need to have these other parts too to give you this complete perfect plan. And this is what a student is working to learn when they first get started on the path to enlightenment. And all the foundational programs and courses and retreats that I teach, I share this at the very beginning so that students understand what this is. So this is what you need to be able to learn to train your mind to let go. Because as long as you're holding on, whether it's a job or a relationship or anything like this, it's going to be discontent. So what you're learning how to do is have a relationship, but not be attached to it. Have a job, but not be attached to it, not forming your feelings based on it. Have money, but don't be attached to it. Don't long and yearn and crave and desire for it. Instead, just gradually work towards these things, right? And that's what you need to learn how to do that the unenlightened mind doesn't know how to do. So it's this particular path that's going to teach you how to do that. And there's plenty of ways for you to learn it. I have courses coming up. I have courses from the past that have been recorded. I have books and audiobooks and things like this. So depending on how long you're going to be in Thailand, you can attend classes here that are more in depth. Today is just kind of like a very surface level class. But when you learn in the various courses and retreats, we go much deeper into it to be able to fully expose this Eightfold Path, because that's what you need to learn to be able to train your mind to let go so you can gain the peace and joy all the time. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, you're welcome. All right. Let me just check and see if we have anything online before we go further. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things here from Frank. Frank, I think what I'm going to do, just in the interest of time, since it's almost 11:30, is I know you're here in Thailand, or maybe you've left by now. I think maybe you're in India. Maybe we can talk privately and I can answer your questions because I see them there. But I'm going to end class here, but I'll help you with those questions after class. So if you'd like to stick around, maybe come into Zoom or contact me by one of the messaging apps, we can talk that way. So what I'll do is just share a thank you for all of you guys to learn and practice, whether you're here at the temple or you're online. Thank you guys for learning the teachings. In our future classes, I'm going to be helping you to learn continuously in the group learning program and all the other courses and retreats. You guys are able to learn the teachings of the Buddha. So just let me know what questions you guys have, and I'll be happy to help you. And if you'd like to see the schedule, you can see it online or you can see it on our bulletin board there. So have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee ka. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.